Beloved brothers and sisters, just wanting to confirm before I go into any further communications, if you can let me know, please, if there is sound, as I did a live transmission yesterday and there was no sound, and trusted the process of that. However, I would love for there to be sound. So if you are receiving now, and I do see that there is an individual online, please place in the chat box if you can hear and receive me before I go any further. And if you are, just taking some deep breaths. And if there is no sound, that is because of a technical difficulty. Please let me know if there's sound so I can actually get into this transmission. And if I don't get any comments, then it means that there is no sound. Niato shkariato koreakiate kiariandianayakiano ukoriate. Dishkariasete kiariano ukoriandianayaki. Viskariaso shkariandianayakiando koreakariato kuyandianay. No sound. You hear me? Beautiful, wonderful. Okay, we'll timestamp that, and we will delete the first minute and a half. Beloved brothers and sisters, divine family. Okay, so this transmission is very specific to the current collective consciousness and the current awareness of what's taking place, and to get really real and raw with what is at play and the delusions and the delusional aspects that are playing out. This is specifically in relation to the divine feminine rising and the divine feminine's desire for the masculine to rise and to meet them, and also the awareness that the masculine are going through a quantum leap to meet the feminine. So this is going to bring up all of your distortion points and all of the aspects of real raw truth of what you're going to have to go through if this is your truth. If you want divine union, if you want sacred union, if you want to connect in equality, synergy, and have the original roles of man and woman, if you desire that, if that is your truth, then these are some of the things that you've got to get to seeing and being very, very aware of will unfold. Now, some of you may not go through this in a very fast rate. Some of you will. It depends on your evolution and what you've decided to either assign yourself to, or what you've decided to bring yourself into in regards to your own desired relationships. So this is not just as on an individual basis, but this is a collective basis. So this doesn't matter if you are going into sacred union or not. If you are a feminine, if you're a masculine, if you are listening to this, then you have resonance to this in some form or another. This is what is taking place. So let's take a couple of deep breaths. I'm Geeia Ariati. I am the assigned oracle for the 144 and beyond. I am of sound heart and sound mind. And we're going to take a couple of deep breaths to just create some stability on this channel and some groundedness, because there is a lot of energies moving and rotating through the field. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out. All right, we're asking for this transmission to be one of clear intent, to be one of a clear and pure channel, to ensure that every being that is receiving from a place of safety, security, and protection, that it is my guidance and my intuitive knowing and my directive to only speak clear truth. If I speak out of form, I will correct correct it through light codes in the awareness that sometimes distortions move through the space and can be grabbed through the channel or the thread of information that is being expressed. That I am here to be a speaker of truth and that of only a speaker of truth, and that I do not consent to any distortions or any manipulations of my channel, nor do I consent to any aspects of my being projected on or manipulated through any layers of magic, frequency, vibration. So in that, and with my discernments placed in this transmission, we can move forward. All right, so the truth is that the feminine are sitting at a higher state of cognitive consciousness. So the collective feminine have been purifying and have moved through a different evolution of consciousness than the masculine. They are at a higher stability rate. So this is not necessarily the heights that have been met in the internal reality, but what they have come to stabilize and purify. So through their clearing of trauma, through their clearing of their karma, through the clearing of the ancestral lines, through the clearing of their past lives and all of those different layers, they have come to a point where they're able to stabilize a higher frequency. They are effectively, in this incarnation, more remembered, not more evolved. Okay, more remembered. And they are remembering an aspect of themselves. Why? Because this current reality has supported women to do this. It has been more supportive for a woman to sit in process, to sit in her emotions, to go to a singing circle, to awaken to aspects of themselves without it being wronged. There is less support for men. This is the only reason, and the only reason is the flip of consciousness, as well as the different agendas like toxic femininity, the distortions of the feminist movement, the distortions of the level of masculine that are rising into their wow, the words disappeared. The masculine that are choosing to stand in their sovereignty and autonomy through spiritual and conscious development, and they're actually rejecting the feminine because of these division points and these separation points. So any men that are managing to find their way, they're either swinging between too far in the feminine pole or too far in the masculine pole, and they are finding it very challenging to find the middle way. So with this, what is occurring is that women have found more of a sense of the middle way, just based on our collective environment. Most women in the conscious community are sitting between their third initiation or third activated, cleared, purified, and open chakra, and their seventh. So that is on the whole. I'm not going to go into the details about this, but as a whole, they're sitting between their third and their seventh. Now, as a whole, for the men of the bringers of change, they're sitting from their first initiation phase to their fourth. That is as of a whole. Now, if you have a woman that's sitting in her seventh initiate phase and she attracts a man that's sitting in his fourth, what does that mean? That means that this individual being that is sitting there, there is a difference of frequency, stability, and conscious awareness. There is more distortion points. There is an aspect of shadow that has not been alchemized and seen. There is parts of the paradigms of this reality that are still in play. There is infiltration. There is technologies. There is AI. There is connections to the underworld. There is all of these things that a woman who perceives herself to be in purity and who has come to a point of evolution where she's like, I will only accept this kind of man into my reality, that you are not going to get that. That is the truth. Because the truth is that you've worked really hard to purify all your stuff. And you have sat with yourself and you've met yourself in your darkness and you've met yourself in the distortions and you have played out your distortions and you have hurt people and you have been covert and you have been manipulative and you have used your magic, whether you want to choose to see or receive that in totality. You have mutated the energy field. You have used your multidimensional skills when you have been out of truth of source and alignment. So no matter what, whether you are in the unified expression of your purity now, as soon as you meet yourself in connection with a divine counterpart or a masculine, and if we see this as a whole, women are standing in their purity, they're activating the men, they're opening a space for men to jump and quantum leap, and they are right? A man in his fourth can quantum leap to the seventh, but all of this energy in between still needs to be alchemized out. All of those threads, all of those different identities that were missed in that quantum jump, because unfortunately in this reality, you can't quantum jump and just have that point of purification, because you've been genetically modified, because you have AI that has been threaded through your brain's neurology, because you have been absolutely, undoubtedly, completely placed into a paradigm of entrapment and slavery, that it doesn't matter if your consciousness meets that point of God, all of the other layers that are not God need to be alchemized and purified out. And as we know, as soon as your nervous system is unstabilized, as we know, as soon as you're in emotional turmoil, as we know, as soon as you're in a wound, if you're in a higher state of frequency, that frequency becomes turbulent, it becomes overwhelming, it becomes that of an unfocused channel or light. And so the aspect of it is you can only purify someone or heal someone to where you've come to attain. There is truth in that, because anything else, you're allowing your vibration and yourself, your consciousness, to have other things that can pop in. That is a part of truth. Now, my mentor, or a mentor of mine who was a beautiful, beloved sister, said, we all do oopsies. And I was kind of like, huh? This time I was in a point of real being sure nothing entered my field. No one would come through my channel and manipulate me. And absolutely nothing but source would communicate to me. And I was not going to put anything out in the world. And I had a masculine as my pole, as my mirror. And he was channeling distortions. He was creating underworld portals. He was curious around the higher realms and didn't realize the aspects of the need for as above, so below. If you go into the higher dimensional realms, you are simultaneously opening the lower dimensional realms. If you are not coming into truth in the center of your heart, if you are not meeting all aspects, your ascended consciousness will meet your descended consciousness. And they are at war until they are met in purity, until they are met in clarity, until they are met in truth. And so for a woman to say that they need a man that is pure of heart, that they need a man to meet them on their level, well, what does that really mean? That means going through the underworld. That means going through and seeing every aspect of the past lives that you've been absolutely not what you wanted to be, that you have failed your mission, that you have used control, that your magic has been distorted, that there is all of these layers that have taken place. And you can't expect, as a woman, to stand up in this place of a higher lens where you've purified and go, well, you know what you're doing. You've quantum leaped. No, because there's all of these points that have to be cleared. And a man, and if you're a woman, you love a man, right? You want a strong man. You want a man in conviction. You want a man in his power. You want a man that is holding himself in strength. What does that mean? Dark masculinity. That means control. That means distortions. That means every aspect of masculinity through the patriarchal constructs have to be purified. So if you're with that man, you're on the journey of his purification. You are in it again. You don't have a choice. Not if you're choosing to meet someone that you want to quantum leap to jump to you. Sure, you can wait until it's purified. I don't know how long that'll be. And is it really the feminine's desire to wait? Or is she there to love and nurture and support and provide a spirit pathway to consciousness, to God, to remembrance? If we look at these traditional roles, this is what is there. Women want to be the pathway to spirit, to source. That means that you're also the pathway to the purification. That means that you're also hearing, seeing, and sensing every aspect that you've moved through, that you need to have the discernment of when your body is telling you something, that you're not getting lost in narratives of someone else, that you're not lying to yourself, that you're not denying, that you're not placing expectations that are absolutely unrealistic. How supported, how loved, How connected is this man going to feel if you're placing the blame on him because you're not seeing what he's actually moving through? It's going to create separation. It's not going to create connection. And those men that are choosing to quantum leap, that have chosen over this period, you've chosen a really hard path. You should be really proud of the fact that you have enough courage to do this. And if you're blind and confused, that's because you're in multiple dimensions at once. Us women, we didn't do it that way. And so this is where compassion is needed. Most of the women that have been doing this have been going, okay, this chakra, this chakra, this chakra. We're going to look at our power center. We're going to play with our womb. We're going to drop into our root chakra. The men are doing 3, 4, 5 chakras at once. That's terrifying. You're in multiple realms. You might be sitting in your 2-dimensional descended consciousness that isn't purified whilst you're sitting in the 11th dimension of your angelic, as well as standing in the 9th and the 5th dimensional of your galactic, whilst past of you is still playing out from your Lemurian timeline and your Atlantis. Of course you don't have a clue what is going on and your humans not catching up. You're spread so thin. This is what's taking place. This is what is real. So if you are a divine feminine that is in this place, have that compassion, have that recognition. Your pathway was step by step. You're mirroring those steps, and he's quantum leaping through the steps of consciousness you created. So if you're like me, you've created a lot of steps, a lot of pathways of consciousness, a lot of light, a lot of different ways to purification through the remembrance and what you've moved through yourself. And that individual that you're traversing and journeying with is following those pathways, but they don't have the time for integration. They don't have the time for the human to catch up and make sense of. That their body, their mind, their being is fully at capacity. And this will happen either now or in the future, where you're aware of where a man is choosing to lean in. Leaning in means being with it all. Purity. I know distortions of purity. Thanks, Isis. The goddess Isis was the master of distorted purity. And in her distortions, these stories of what is pure is not love and light. It's Iron Maiden. It's dirty. It's messy. It's crying. It's effectively, at points, psychically attacking your partner. It is holding strong boundaries in hatred. It is emotionally expressing so that you move through the points of the shadow and the masks. It is all of the layers in every possible expression. If you want to be your whole self and meet someone in their whole self, then you got to be willing to meet all of their whole self, which means all of the things that you've met within yourself. Fast, quick, and powerful. If you're a powerful woman and you know your power, you know who you are, can you imagine what that powerful man is that has to meet you but go through all of his distortions? I know for me, that's been a fun time. Powerful time, recognizing it on the other side, seeing it for what it is, but I didn't know what I was going into. Just like everyone else, I have blind spots, illusions. We all do. These constructs of reality are breaking. These illusions are falling down. Truth is not ease and grace. Truth is blood, sweat, and tears, love, deepening, and safety, fear, terror, and hatred, and sacred rage. All of it. So your union, if you want a purified union, if you want a godly union, if you want a union where you can take on the world and be absolutely unfuckable, you got to go through the fuckery. That's the truth. So for women and men, they're a little confused around what might be taking place around them. I hope this brings some insight. Because had I have had some of this awareness, I would have left you or myself with a few key points. So in this awareness and this journey that has unfolded, I'm going to leave you with some awarenesses for woman and for man. Women, trust your body as you're moving through this process of recognizing that you are on a purification journey with your divine masculine, that you are the consciousness, you are the spirit connection, you are the pathway to light. That is your role. Trust your body. If your body says that something is not right, if your body is off and your cognitive mind or your channel is confused, that something feels off, it's because it is. Your body has come to a point of knowing itself in purity. If it's not feeling pure, if it is feeling heavy, it is feeling a sense of distortion, if it is confused with some of the messages that are coming through, you have received something in your physical expression that requires alchemy. And guess what? You let it in based on whatever story, belief, concept, construct that has been created that would allow you to have it in your being, in your field. So it's just getting you to tighten things up. That's the helpful aspect of this. Trust your body, feminine intuition, your body's awareness. It will help guide you. The other aspect of this for a woman is stop expecting your man to understand wisdom, your information. He needs to be taught step by step. He needs to know what's going on, because at the time he is in your energy field, he has been blasted with frequency and light and has no idea. He's not seeing what you've seen. He needs structure and communication of what is taking place for him step by step, what to be aware of step by step, and putting it in the most layman, simple terms as possible of what you're aware he's going through. Use your intuitive guidance. See where he's at. Say, this is what you're working through. This is the archetype that's present. This is the past life that is alive. This is the core wound that is going to show up. Get ahead of the game. Use your tuning, your channeling abilities and say, here's a blueprint, babe. This is where you're at. This is what you can look at. Another aspect for the feminine to be aware of is that you're going to go straight into victim. You're going to think that it's all his fault, that he's not pure enough, he's not meeting you enough, he's creating the turbulence. Takes two to tango, always. So where is it that you're not taking accountability, ownership for your part in anything that you're feeling? Anytime that you want to blame him for not meeting you, for not being pure enough, for not having aspects of self that have been realized, it's time for you to take a look in the mirror to see, where is your purity distorted? Where are you not seeing through the eyes of God? Now for the men, firstly, I see you. I love you. I'm sorry. On behalf of all divine feminine, for our self-righteousness and our superiority, and for the aspect that we think that we are better than you because we've come to see God at a higher point, and for the ickiness that that has created, and for the distortion that that has created. All right. For the men, it's okay to stop. Okay. This will be your biggest challenge. You've quantum leaped. You're a man. You desire to drive, to go forth, to hurry, to rush, to get shit done. It's not going to work with this. You've got to learn to connect with your feminine, slow down, stop, take a walk, go for a bath, sleep, rest, turn your brain off, watch a movie, listen to music. You need these pauses. You need to turn your brain down as it is flooded with frequency. It is flooded with remembrance. It is flooded with coding and DNA activation. That you will send yourself into mental turmoil where your shadows will run off that mental turmoil, as well as any aspects of distortion, any paranoia templates, or any mental instability that still remains in your brain's coding and your genetic modification will run. So whatever shadow archetype, if you don't allow yourself time and space to stop, will go on overdrive. Now, when you go onto overdrive from a shadow and you've met a high frequency of light, you're a danger to yourself and others. You are designed in that way. You are a male. Men are supposed to have a conduit that runs through their brain, through their neurology. They receive God through thought. But if your thought forms are mutated and overactive, you will send yourself in spirals. You need to turn your brain off. Whatever it is that gets your brain off, taking time to do that and to honor that. Vulnerability. This will be your greatest tool. It's going to be your hardest tool, but it will be your greatest tool. All of those things that you keep inside, that you never speak, all of those things, those thoughts, even those hideous ones, those gross ones, those things that you notice, speak those out aloud, because they are your distortions, they are your shadows, they are your memories, they are parts of you that are wanting to be seen and witnessed. If you suppress them, hide them, and keep them in the shadows while you have high frequency of light, they will play out in your inner being and in your outer reality. And I mean they will play out, that they will literally transform your reality with magic. Distortions are black magic, sorcery, magicianary that has not been purified, creates a whole lot of havoc. And I know that none of us want to do that. That's why I'm sharing this message. Because none of you want to run your distortions. All of you want connection. All of you want to be seen. It might be the hardest thing that you've ever done because you've been shamed, wronged, and put down so many times for your points. But a way that can help you with this is that you pre-frame it. Pre-frame to your feminine or the feminine pole in your life that I'm having these distorted thoughts. I know they're not real, but I need to speak them out loud. I had this distorted idea or this distorted feeling. Now claim it as a distortion, because that's what it is. My distorted self wants to hurt you right now. My distorted or shadow aspect, you're a bitch, right? Whatever it is, claim that vulnerability. My distorted self, my shadow aspect, my wound is terrified that you'll leave me. Okay? Pre-frame what you're saying. That will allow you to speak in truth rather than letting the illusion and the shadow and the wound build up and be projected, which then comes with a lot of energetic force. And the third offering and opportunity to look at this is to be aware of your feminine in regards to what she's saying. The feminine will give you so much insight, but because she can get very messy in these sorts of situations, hear what she's saying, but don't take it as gospel, right? So if you imagine that the feminine runs circles, big circles. The feminine runs circles around consciousness. If you allow the feminine to run circles around you, she's telling you God. She's telling you everything you need to hear, but sometimes she doesn't even know what she's saying until she finds that clarity. So if you hear her, but you don't take it on, you're like, listen actively. Don't try and make sense of it. Listen actively so that you feel in your pillar, that's the piece. It's none of this, it's that. And if you see that that is what is being shared with you, then you can hear her when she's not in her purity, when she's meeting in some form of distortion, because you're going through an active purification together. And not to mention, with that, when she becomes emotionally unstable, help her to ground so you can hear what the message from God actually is. What does she need to ground, to remember, to clear, to come into presence? Because in emotional instability, she is messy. She is chaos. She doesn't understand herself. Now, with this, you have your awarenesses of masculine and feminine. You have some insights. If this is what you're choosing, if this is what you're calling in, if this is what you're already traversing, whether it be with a friend, a sister, a brother relationship, in family, or whether it's in union, in relationship, those women and men that are women that are rising, men that are quantum leaping, this is happening around you. If you are in some kind of union, what happens is you create a third bubble, and that makes it even more complex. And being in union is not always a good thing, because if there's a lot of distortion on one side, that union bubble has a lot of distortion from one side. But it also has a chemical reaction of two individual sources or source expressions, essences, coming together and exploding and creating chemical reactions of different beliefs, different values, different thought forms, different things that drive, different things that feel fulfilling. Your union or your relationship bubble or your planet, now this happens in friendships as well, is that connection point has things that you wouldn't have in your individual reality. So you also need to be aware of that. Now, if it's overwhelming, disconnect yourself from that planet. Pull yourself away from that union. Cut it off. It's not saying that things are, no, we can't be together, or we can't be friends, or we can't be in connection. It's, I can't merge my energy field with yours at the moment because too much is going on, and I can't even feel myself. I can't find my truth. I can't find my clarity, and we will reconnect when it is guided, when it is more clear, when it feels less turbulent, when there is peace. You connect to the union, you disconnect from the union. This is an energetic thing. That is why connection and autonomy is so important. That is why codependency mutates everyone. This is why control creates a point of separation and that autonomous pulling away. It's because a lot of us unconsciously are going into union, disconnecting, pulling, tugging, mutating, manipulating. So being aware of your union bubble will help you to also know, oh, okay, if I need to disconnect from my union bubble, my planet, if you need to disconnect from your union bubble, that you communicate that you tell the person, I actually need to disconnect from our energetic planet, our being, because I'm at capacity and I need to come back to self. I need to see what is here for me. I need to see with clear vision. I might need to go for a walk. I might need to have some time where we don't have communication. I need to put in some sacred boundaries because I love you, not because I'm rejecting or abandoning you. because I love myself and because I want to find truth so that I can come back into union. These aspects are what allow us sovereignty and connection. These are what allow us purity in truth. All of that which has been spoken to today is the core foundations of the structure of man and woman in this relationship, in relationship, in all relationship. It's the fabric of what man and woman in this reality hold in all layers. This is not something that just happens in higher dimensional expressions of self. This happens in the lower dimensional egoic representatives of self. It's always there. We're all traversing the same thing all the time. It's just being aware of where you're seeing it from. So you can see how to express and communicate. So you can find the way that is working for you and that supports in love the person that you are choosing to create life with, or the people that you're choosing to connect with. We chose a hell of a time to come and create union on the earth. That is what it is. The union grids have been activated. We are here to create union in leadership. And when I say that, I mean those greats like Yeshua, Buddha, those ascended masters, to create unions of ascended mastery. That's hard work. And for those of you that have been doing it alone for so long, I see you. And for those of you that feel like you will do it alone for forever, I get it. It doesn't have to be this way. What is more sacred and honoring? It's a hell of a ride either way. You can either do it alone or you can do it together. You can see yourself through the eyes of another. We have choice, always. And that's the beauty of this reality. I love you, beautiful souls. I hope you enjoyed this transmission. If you did, I will be actually placing a Finding Union transmission today into the Bring the New Earth Tribe community. So that's mine and my beloved's community for the bringers of change and support. So in follow-up for this, anyone who would like to actually move through the quantum realignments to find that union, to reconcile the distortion points and to open to that connection, I will be placing that into our community space today so that you can receive that and assist in any of these points of projection, rejection, mutation, where you're not being loving, you are not seeing truth. So that will be, you can find that in the description box below through my link tree, and find your way to receive all of the beautiful deliciousness that is there, including daily energy readings, a live Zoom group education, and many different things around New Earth, including the New Earth and Old Earth. And I'm going to say Sister Tara and Mother Geeia, their new land locations and different information if that's important to you, as well as what that means on a cellular level for your individual being. If you feel as though this is something that could be supportive for you, please feel into your sacred heart, as well as I do have a masterclass of magic coming up on the 14th of November that will help you to understand some of these points that might come out unconsciously in what we've just talked about, as well as the conscious way to master them and be insightful around them. This is the energetic profiling tool, we could say, that runs with your soul's energy blueprint. Lots of information there, very helpful for any of the bringers of change and the beings that are wanting to understand their quantum mechanics a little bit more. Other than that, I love you deeply and thank you for receiving this live transmission. Bye.